In this WrestleTalk news, Sasha Banks has reportedly been released from WWE, Vince McMahon is embroiled in another scandal, Ollie's review of Dynamite, and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
What with all the MJF work shoot, not a work, not a shoot, work shoot, brother stuff going on, Stephanie McMahon taking her leave of absence from WWE, CM Punk being injured and Jeff Hardy being arrested, you'd be forgiven for forgetting about one of the other biggest news stories of the year so far, Naomi and Sasha Banks' walkout from WWE. Slow down, wrestling news! The duo walked out of an episode of Raw on May 16th, and exactly 1 month later, Raj Giri of Wrestling Inc. is reporting that Sasha Banks has been released from her WWE contract. Giri did not specify whether this was a WWE decision or something Banks had requested, but it's also worth noting that Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, who, let's be honest, is sort of the barometer of good wrestling reporting these days, was not able to verify Giri's report. In an update on Fightful Select, Sapp reported, Fightful reached out to numerous WWE reps, one of which got back to us and stated, "Not that I've heard," in regards to the release. Thus far, nobody in WWE has explicitly shot it down, they've just said they haven't heard about it. This is as it pertains to talent, front office, public relations, and staff. If Sasha Banks has been released, the company has kept it very quiet. Banks is still listed on WWE.com as part of the roster, though that Select reported also noted that there was an urgent email sent out to a live event venue to remove Banks from advertising for their show, though this could just be linked to her suspension and lack of involvement in that show rather than a release. Stay tuned to WrestleTalk.com to keep up with the latest. Well, that's obviously the biggest wrestling news story of the day. Glad we can take it a bit slower now. Oh. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the WWE board is investigating a secret $3 million settlement between Vince McMahon and a former employee he allegedly had an affair with. The former employee was said to have left WWE in January this year, after being there since 2019 as a paralegal. The WWE board reportedly began the investigation in April and have uncovered more non-disclosure agreements of a similar nature with both Vince McMahon and head of talent relations John Laurinaitis. McMahon allegedly hired the former paralegal to a salary of $100,000, which then increased to a salary of $200,000 after they began a sexual relationship. It also alleges that McMahon gave her like a toy to Laurinaitis thereafter. WWE has yet to comment publicly on the situation, but an internal message to its staff reads, "The Wall Street Journal has published a report about WWE with allegations that we and our board of directors take seriously." Fightful Select has added to this report, saying that sources indicated to them that the alleged relationship between Vince and the paralegal was suspected at the time. When Laurinaitis was re-given the head of talent relations role in 2021, female talent reached out to Fightful to express their displeasure with the choice, and with these new allegations, one female talent reportedly told Fightful, "I'd rather get all my shit sent to me in a trash bag when I get fired than have to deal with him. And neither are good options." Looking back to April when Nia Jax tweeted about perverted higher-ups in the company, which would have been after the investigation was underway, which Fightful Select's reporting was dismissed backstage as her being bitter, and with Stephanie McMahon's leave of absence from the company recently, things are not looking great for WWE backstage right now. Stay tuned for the latest on this and all wrestling news at WrestleTalk.com. And now, hot tag to Ollie.
Before we get on with the rest of the video, I'd just like to say a big thank you to this episode's sponsor, Surfshark VPN, which you can get 83% off and 3 months free if you go to surfshark.deals/WrestleTalk and use the code WrestleTalk. Surfshark VPN lets you trick your device into thinking it's in another country, which opens up a whole new world of content libraries. If you're in the UK, you can watch US Netflix, which has a far bigger selection of movies. If you're outside the UK, you can watch the BBC iPlayer. And if you're in the US, you can finally get access back to the old WWE network with its far superior functionality. I hate change. We've all been using Surfshark here at WrestleTalk for years now. It's our official VPN, and it doesn't just let us gain access to all the wrestling, it also secures our networks by encrypting internet traffic, keeping our location and download history private. My collection of ultra swole Pokemon must be protected at all costs, and my favorite feature for this is that Surfshark knows when my phone leaves a trusted connection like my home or work internet, and it immediately turns on to prevent interference. It's like having a babyface wrestling faction for your phone. So sign up to Surfshark today by clicking our link in the video description below, surfshark.deals/WrestleTalk, where you'll get 83% off and 3 months free if you use the code WrestleTalk. We'd really appreciate if you at least check them out, as they're a great company and we love working with them. Support WrestleTalk and support your internet privacy with Surfshark. Now it's time for my review of the AEW Gimmick Match Spectacular in about 5 minutes. The Road Rager special of AEW Dynamite kicked off in a big way. It's that huge stipulation you probably forgot was happening. Chris Jericho versus Ortiz in a hair versus hair match. It's the first of its kind in AEW history. It's one of the biggest stipulations you can do in wrestling. Putting this match on with this build is like doing a Hell in a Cell match for Bobby Lashley versus Theory all of a sudden next week. That will probably happen, but that will also suck. But lackluster setup aside, AEW's in-ring wrestling is always superb, elevated even more by an excellent crowd and insanely fun booking with the warring LAX, Blackpool Combat Club and Jericho Appreciation Society. Eddie Kingston took out Jericho behind the referee's back. What a babyface. For an incredible near fall, but JAS had a new member up their sleeve. Fuego del Sol, who cost Ortiz the win and then revealed himself to actually be Sammy Guevara, which makes way more sense, reuniting 3/5 of the inner circle. Wait a second, Jake, that's my jacket. Ortiz, meanwhile, took a page out of Suzuki's book. You can appear even stronger in defeat when you shave your own head, as you scream over and over, blood and guts, blood and guts, blood and guts. Hair versus hair steps aren't enough for you? Or then here's one guy taking on 20 security guards in an elimination match. Who's booking this show? 13-year-old me? Actually, that does look a lot like 13-year-old me. This was a fun idea, but repetitive and clunky in execution. Firstly, ring announcer Dasher got the rules wrong, announcing eliminations when security guards hopped off the apron, confusing everyone. The security guards then used the flawless tactic of, quick boys, attack him no more than 2 at a time, and Wardlow's pinning of 4 to 6 guards in piles at a time got samey. Afterwards, Dan Lambert and Scorpio Sky appeared in the Skybox. I hope Scorpio's calling it that. Building Wardlow's TNT title feud, but their own UFC fighters sided with Wardlow, helping him powerbomb Mark Sterling. For those of you on Wardlow's World Watch, thankfully, he did not say that here. I tell you, he's not going to stand for any of this stipulation nonsense. Dax Harwood. Also, Will Ospreay. He doesn't need stipulations because he's his own walking ladder match. Following Rampage's excellent 6-man tag, they fought in a singles match here. It was a brilliant styles clash. Dax's hard-hitting old-school wrestling against Will's video game insanity. In an amazing detail, Dax hit a flying headbutt off the top rope, which, as Excalibur pointed out, the last time a member of FTR went to the top rope, it was Cash Wheeler last year. And it led to them losing the AEW tag team titles. Didn't work out for Dax either. The New Japan's Lion Pride spirit was incredible, with Harwood even kicking out of an Oscutter, but Will brutally followed it up with a hidden blade to win. For me, this was my match of the night on an excellent night of wrestling. A post-match brawl with the best friends FTR and United Empire followed, including a returning from injury Orange Cassidy. It was later announced Cassidy would be facing Ospreay at Forbidden Door, a match I never knew I wanted so much, because I still do think Ospreay should be booked in a serious feud for his first AEW run. Thank you for your support on Patreon, fantastic Mr. Good Old Fox and the venerable Jesse Venable. You too can get your own shout out by going to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Kevin Kelly just walked through the Forbidden Door for a video interview in the Mox vs Tanahashi video package. That's it, shut the door. It can't get any better for me now. Moxley cut a typically great promo on Tanahashi in their face-to-face, saying he's chased Horseshoe around the world and that there's a lot of championships on this planet. Too many if you ask me, but there's only one ace. Just like a deck of cards. It was a perfect, you're great, but I'm better wrestling promo, building up both you and your opponent. But then Jericho interrupted, saying the only reason Mox is there is because he didn't face him last week, begging the question again. "Why weren't you there last week, Jericho?" And then he introduced even more JAS members, adding Lance Archer and Desperado from Suzuki-gun to attack Mox and Tanahashi, announcing a Forbidden Door six-man of Jericho, Sammy and Minoru Suzuki versus Kingston, Wheeler Yuta and Shota Umino. Rather than interpromotional warfare, these stories are very much about uniting heels with heels and faces with faces across the promotions. That's a smart way to solve the Survivor Series problem of having all normal storylines on pause while you build the concept show. In the second All-Atlantic qualifier match, Miro took on Ethan Page. Miro was heavily the babyface here, a role he can slip into amazingly easily. He advanced very decisively, taking out Lambert on the apron and tapped out Page to win. Tony Storm beat Britt Baker surprisingly decisively in a de facto #1 contenders match to Thunder Rosa's title, who chased off Jamie Hayter early on. Now is the time to start building someone else, but it is weird to see Baker lose so easily. I don't feel this match elevated Tony as much as it should have. Poor Hangman Page can't catch a break. He wanted to face Okada at Forbidden Door for the IWGP Heavyweight title, but Jay White won it off him over the weekend. This prompted White to attack Hangman from behind, saying he'll pick his challenger, which also isn't going to be Adam Cole, baby. This is a good bit of intrigue, but it feels like they'll have to rush the resolution with go-home angles next week. Unless White's opponent ends up being a returning Kenny Omega. Omega facing the guy who kicked him out of the Bullet Club. It's the sort of dream match that doesn't need a huge build, and as WWE has proved, giant go-home angles or returns are sometimes all you need to sell the pay-per-view last minute. And the main event was the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express in a ladder match for the tag team titles, a match the Hardys were pulled from, which even without Jeff's arrest, I'm very pleased about. Otherwise, I would have spent all of this match worried about injuries. With that removed, this was unapologetically an all-time great Dynamite match. Jungle Boy ran up ladders like he was in an MC Escher painting. People were going through tables at a clip of 1 a minute. Matt Jackson lost a shoe. Luchasaurus got the big ladder out the ring through loads of tables spot, isolating Jungle Boy inside. With Nick Jackson bleeding heavily from the nose, the Young Bucks unhooked the titles to become the 2-time AEW Tag Team Champions. But wait, there's more. Christian finally turned on Jungle Boy, hitting a concerto on him to end the show. The lackluster Jurassic Express title reign is now in the past, and I'm optimistic about heel Christian and the champion Bucks. What did you think of AEW Dynamite? Let me know in the comments. This felt like a big-time special episode with 3 gimmick matches, a title change, loads of debuts and angles, which is exciting, but it's also the literal definition of hotshot booking. Not everything worked, and Forbidden Door weirdly still feels underwhelming just 1 show away. There's a potential episode of the year here somewhere, but ultimately, this week's Dynamite is 88%. But while AEW have all the titles, WWE have found themselves with none. Watch on to find out about how WWE Creative feels about Roman Reigns.
A lot of stuff currently. It's Roman Reigns. What a segue.
That's actually a terrible segue because, if anything, he has less stuff to.
He's got so many belts. Look, he's got stuff.
The Bloodline have so many belts. It's just a shame that only 3 of them are ever on TV.
Exactly, yes.